So this is one of those days where you need to take all warnings seriously. And I'll say this, if you live in a mobile home, you need to be in your safe spot now. It's going to be winds in excess of 70 miles an hour. That's going to be very damaging winds. A few tornadoes possible, maybe some small hail, and that tornado threat low to medium. And you can see what we're looking at. Behind me is the Pearl River. You can see it is very swollen and it has flowed over its banks in many locations. The city of Columbia a little bit higher than the floodplain below me, but the river is currently at 22.7 feet. That's the latest observation this morning. Right now. So what we'll kind of do is zoom back in on the city of Laurel, and that's the area that I'm really concerned about. A ton of lightning with this storm. We'll clean up the image just a touch, and there's your hail core. Look at that, the bright purples, the pinks, the whites. Yes, that is some very large hail inside the storm. We hardly ever see the radar turn white, but when we do, that's a very good indication that there is some large hail. And good morning, everybody. We're starting off with dense fog out there across the Pine Belt this morning. A live look to begin your day at the campus of USM, our Mississippi Power Sky Cam, and you can see just how foggy it is out there across the area. Even the roads are a little shiny, so they're damp to start off your day. 68 degrees out there to start off your morning here. It is incredibly warm, incredibly muggy. Definitely doesn't feel like January. It feels more like March or April, but it is January. That's what the calendar at least says. But look at the fog. We're still dealing with it across much of the Pine Belt. Dense fog from Moselle down to Sumrall, Collins, Prentice, even out towards Columbia as well. And there are other areas that are showing up with just kind of patchy fog across the Pine Belt. So fog is a big story. It'll definitely hamper your scamper this morning. You'll definitely want to turn on your fog lights as you head out the door. Keep your rain gear handy because we will see some hit or miss showers this afternoon. And of course, with us being in the upper 60s already, you know it's going to be a warm day. So today, of course, another day of short sleeve weather. Around the area is 66 in Ellisville this morning. Petals at 68. My house in Oak Grove is currently coming in at 67 degrees. It's 69 in Columbia and Foxworth, and out towards Waynesboro currently 68 degrees. But at least this morning we're not dealing with rain. Yesterday we had a lot of rain across the area. This morning not so much for us around here, but it is hanging tough for all the areas in North Mississippi, mainly north of I-20. So pretty much from Tupelo to Greenville to about Yazoo City. And this really isn't moving that much, but it will slowly kind of sink off towards the south as we go into the afternoon for today. And you can see that on Futurecast by 7 to 8 o'clock, just slowly sinking off towards the south. We will start to see some showers in our northern counties by about lunchtime, and then that'll try to work its way as best as it can towards Hattiesburg later this afternoon. So we can't rule out those afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and for that I'll give today's forecast a C. It's really pretty bad though, and that's being very generous, I guess you would say. Dense fog this morning, showers this evening, a warm day ahead with a high right around 76 degrees. Those showers try to sink to the south and kind of fall apart overnight. We'll start off your morning once again tomorrow with temperatures in the mid 60s with some patchy areas of dense fog. Tomorrow, another warm day, highs up into the mid to upper 70s, 77 degrees. Way too warm for January, and we'll still have to deal with those hit or miss showers. And the warm and wet weather stays with us at least through Friday and into Saturday. Saturday, though, is when we get a cold front in here, and that'll finally break us of this pattern. We go from 72 back down to 58 degrees, so we'll finally cool down, and we'll finally break the rainy pattern. But until then, off and on showers Thursday, Friday. Here comes that system on Saturday, and then behind it, cooler, drier air, and next week is looking picture perfect. We get away from the upper 70s and the days of rain and clouds back to sunshine. And even look at this, temperatures dipping down into the low 50s, maybe even 49 degrees next Tuesday. So we're finally going to start to cool down and feel more like January across the area. So we're watching, look at all the lightning that really just kind of pops up with it over the last little bit. That's all those little white dots that pop up. And one thing that we're seeing with these warnings is they're all severe thunderstorm warnings except the southernmost one, and that's down here into southern portions of Walthall County. The area of rotation is down here. It's right here on the state line, and it's just kind of riding that Washington Parish, Walthall County line. While forecasting techniques in 1969 were not as advanced as they are today, they were still quite good for the time. Unfortunately, Camille was terribly forecasted. Even 18 hours before landfall, it was expected to curve and go towards Pensacola, not towards the original track it would take towards Pass Christian. Because of this, only a hurricane watch was in effect for Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon, the day before the storm. It wasn't until 15 hours before landfall that the Mississippi Gulf Coast was finally upgraded to a hurricane warning. So tornado sirens should be only used outdoors. If you need something inside, you should instead use a NOAA weather radio. They're really cheap, they're really effective, and they also have a very loud alarm that'll wake you up in the middle of the night. The first place you obviously want to start is your tires. You want to make sure they're in good condition. You also want to make sure they're properly inflated. Your tires can lose 1 pound of pressure per every 10 degrees. So if you filled them up when it was 70 and the weather gets cold, say 30 degrees, that means you could lose 4 pounds of pressure. You also want to make sure your tires have really good tread on them as well. And there's a simple way to find that out. Just grab a penny and flip it upside down. Use Lincoln's head as a gauge. Stick it into the grooves of the tire, and if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, that means you need to go ahead and replace your tires. The biggest problem when it comes to flash flooding is people driving into high waters. Even if there's not an emergency vehicle with lights flashing or barricades up, you should never drive into high waters. You never know how deep it is, or even if the road has been underwashed. Wow, it's really cold outside, and that guy's really good. Now, the cold weather is damaging a lot of plants across the Pine Belt, and a lot of them are already showing signs of damage. Some of them won't make it back, but some of them you can revive to bring them towards spring. So what do you need to do to make sure you can enjoy them? So this is one of those days where you need to take all warnings seriously. And I'll say this, if you live in a mobile home, you need to be in your safe spot now. If you live downstream from the mobile home, and you don't feel comfortable, you need to go to a shelter now. Go by the 5-minute rule. If it takes you more than 5 minutes to get to a shelter, you need to go ahead and be going to a shelter now if you're not already under that tornado warning, because as we've seen after Beauregard, things can turn very deadly very quick.